and welcome everyone to another edition of Faye Fitness. Today we are going to continue on with our Women's Self-Defense series, and I'm going to teach you all today how to attack a predator's knee area. So if this sounds like something you'd like to learn, stay tuned and I'll show you how. Tuning in today, guys. As you saw in the introduction, today we are going to be focusing on how to attack an attacker's knee area so that you can get away to safety. And the reason that we're focusing on the knees is, like an elbow, the knee joint is actually rather fragile. So you can hit it from any angle, front, either side, or even the back, and it can cause balance, mobility issues, and it'll really hurt like heck. The other reason that the knee is a great option for women in terms of self-defense is that most attackers aren't really prepared for it, so there's a low likelihood that they would grab your foot if you went to strike them. They're much more likely to try to protect their groin area than their knees. And that's just in terms of the popularity of those two moves. So kicking the knee, normally they're not going to be able to have that good of reflexes to bend over and grab your foot in time. So it's a great way for you to cause serious damage and then escape to safety. So let's go ahead and dive right in, and let's start with the front of the knee, because that's probably going to be the most likely scenario that you'll face, is if an attacker is coming at you from the front, from the side, or if he's behind you. So starting out from the front, our lead kick is an amazing kick for this. For those of you who have watched past videos, you'll know what I mean, but I'll go ahead and demonstrate this a few times just for first-time viewers. So a lead kick is really simple. I'll demonstrate it this way and then once on Ed. So you're just going to bring your leg up, out, retract it, which is key, and then drop it straight down. The reason I don't want to kick and let my leg fall to the floor like this is because in that downward arc, I'm losing all this time. My muscles aren't engaged and ready to either fire again in another kick or turn and run. And so it's just not an effective use of my time in a critical situation like this. So by having the leg up, out, and then drawing it back, I can kick again, or I can set it down and run, whether it be straight ahead, turn to the side, what have you. A great way to practice this is if you have a dresser, open all the drawers, and then lift your leg up, push the drawer closed, and then retract the leg and bring it down. And just do that for each one of the dresser drawers until you feel confident, because this isn't a very intuitive move, especially when you're retracting the leg after you've kicked. Another point to keep in mind is you want the entire bottom of your foot, or as much as humanly possible, to be making contact with the top of Ed's knee. So what I want to try to do is actually force it to bend backwards, which for Ed is going to hurt like heck. It's going to cause a lot of injury, not only to the kneecap, but all the supporting connective ligaments and tendons. It's going to impair his balance and his mobility. So if Ed is coming at me, pardon my back towards you, I'm going to lift my leg up, kick out, draw it back, and hopefully I've injured him enough to where I can turn and run away. So again, it's a great trick. It's a good tool to keep in your tool belt of self-defense moves. Practice it a few times. If you have questions, leave it down below and I'd be more than happy to help you. Another move you can do is called the Roundhouse Kick. And again, that kick has been featured in a lot of prior videos. Before we've learned how to aim for the thigh or the abdominal cavity, but we can just aim that same kick lower and make contact with the front of Ed's knee. So a real quick rundown for first-time viewers on the Roundhouse Kick is I want my leg to come forward, and I want the side of my hip to actually be facing skyward in the middle of the move. So I'm going to come up, over, kick, and then down. And this is a kick that you should be actually pushing your weight this way, so it's hard to demonstrate slowly and hold the move because the body is going to naturally want to come this way, which is great. That means you're putting all your weight on this leg, which is hopefully making contact with the front of Ed's knee. again, injuring him. And we definitely want our shin to be making contact with the front of Ed's knee and not our ankle or our foot, because that could hurt us. And then we'd have mobility issues. So as you're practicing this kick, when I first started, I put a pillow on my couch and just practiced kicking it, just to make sure I had good form, I had good aim, and then later you can practice the various forms of force of how hard you kick it. So again, I do kickboxing, so my hands are always up by my face. Please disregard that if you don't do kickboxing, but just come up, over, and down. The other thing you'll notice with this kick is I start facing this way, and then I end facing you. And that's totally fine, because the whole nature of the move will have me ending facing you. So for this kick, if Ed was in front of me, I can lean into him, hurt the knee. I'm facing this way so I can run this way or turn and run. Really easy peasy, but again, if you have questions, leave them down below. The final kick is a rear kick, which is also sometimes called a donkey kick. This is if I'm facing you, Ed's behind me, so I just, like the lead kick, bring my leg up and straight back. You'll see a lot of martial arts people lean forward, and that's just because we're getting maximum force on our backwards kick. But if you don't want to do that, that's totally fine. You can lift up and back. I would practice it so you learn aim, control, and all of those things, but just up, back, and then recoil and down. Because again, you don't want your leg to be falling towards the ground if, say, you miss and you need to do it again. So that way you can do it fast, and hopefully the second kick will be more effective than the first. You can also do a side kick. I'm blanking on the technical name for that. Many apologies. When I think of it, I'll put it down below. And that's just, say I'm walking this way, Ed is coming at me, I kick straight out. You can do that as well. Again, just try to aim for as much of the flat of your foot as possible to the front of the kneecap. So now moving on to the sides of the knee, all the same kicks still apply. So if you've been practicing the lead kick, the roundhouse, the donkey kick, things like that, you will be well prepared for the side of the knee. So if for whatever reason Ed was facing this way, I was facing Ed, I can lead kick him, I can roundhouse kick him, and I can rear kick him. And feel free, if someone's coming at you, to grab them and use them for stability. So say I'm not very good at balancing with my roundhouse kicks yet, I can grab Ed and use him to stabilize myself as I come over and really lay into the side of his knee. And that's going to maximize my body weight onto that part of his body and really do damage to the knee. So that's going to probably tear a lot of those ligaments and tendons. It's going to mess up his balance, his mobility. And then as soon as I've injured him like that, I can let go and run away, because now he's in so much pain, he doesn't care about me. So that's a really good tool. It's going to be scary, but just know that you're doing this to protect yourself, and it'll help. Again, practicing this kick really helps as well. On the inside of the thigh, we do have an extra kick. It's called a bridge kick. It would not be my go-to kick for the inside of the knee, just because for a bridge kick, we're using the top of our foot, and it's going to be making contact with the inside of Ed's knee. It's not going to feel pleasant, and especially if you haven't done any type of martial arts or street fighting training and you're not used to it, it can hurt and it can suck. It shouldn't break your foot in most situations, but it will still hurt him, so I'll still teach it. The main thing that differentiates a bridge kick from a lead kick is, if you'll remember, from our lead kick, we were coming up and straight out, like we were closing the drawer on a dresser. For a bridge kick, you can come up, but then I want to come out at an angle with the top of my foot. So the foot's going to look different and be going at a different angle. So to demonstrate this, if Ed's coming at me, I'm looking at Ed, I kick up and out. Up, out. And just like in the thigh video, Anywhere between the top of the knee and the groin is the inner thigh, and that's really tender. So if you kick anywhere in here, so your aim isn't true and you miss the knee, anywhere in this area is still gonna really hurt. So don't worry. So just up, over, and down. And so those are the front three sides of the knee. The back of the knee is where it gets a little tricky, because as your own knees work, they bend forward. So if you're kicking someone from the back of the knee is just naturally going to bend into that movement. It's still going to hurt, but it may not be as effective. I was trying to do a little bit of research online of maybe I was missing something, but there's just not a really good way to get behind there. You could like loop your foot behind and drag it forward to try to knock their feet out from under them. But that just seemed a little bit more complicated than my goal for this series of being just a basic introductory version to women's self-defense. So I'm going to kind of skip a lot of the foot like kicks and maneuvers of that nature with the back of the knee. If you would like to see those, leave those down below and I can do like a part 2 advanced knee video for this. But I don't want to confuse you and I don't want to show you something so complicated that if you're being attacked, you try something and then maybe get tripped up or confused, or I just want to avoid that altogether and stick to the easy stuff. However, there are still things we can do to the back of the knee. One of which is to do, I don't know if you've ever seen like gun hands. We did it a lot as kids when we were playing. So you take your hands, lace the ring and pinkies together, have your middle and pointer fingers touching, and then your thumbs touching. So like this. And you want to jab this into the back of the knee, preferably as close to the dead center as possible. That's going to be the weakest part of the knee, and there's also a lot of nerves back there, so it's really going to hurt. The other thing you can do is our knuckle fist from earlier. So this is a regular fist, and then this is a knuckle one. So you can see our nice little points with our bones there. Just jab that into the back of the knee. Again, you're not going to have the same amount of damage that you would hitting the front or the sides, but if whatever happens, worst case scenario, you're behind Ed's knee, that's a great move. A regular punch or a knife hand are also good. They're gonna be short stuns, so it's gonna be a short burst of pain, but again, even that 5 to 10 seconds could be enough to get you to safety, so it's worth mentioning. The other thing is we do actually have some punches and elbow moves we can do for the knees. The percentage of those chances happening are a little unlikely, but again, they're worth showing. So say I'm wearing sneakers and I bend down to tie my shoe, and that's when Ed decides to attack. I can actually use my elbow to the side, to the back, or even the front of Ed's knee and really do some damage. So for the front, remember that I'm right-handed, so my right hand makes a fist, my left hand grabs my right hand to help jab it and give that extra force, and I just ram as hard as I can the back of my elbow into the front of the knee. Conversely, again, I want to have this nice power hold. I can jab my elbow forward so the front of my forearm here is making contact with the side, or even the other side if Ed's on the other side of me, the side of that knee, and that's really going to cause some damage. Also, what I can do is our good old friend, the hammer fist. So making a fist and bringing it straight down or straight out to the side or to the front of the knee. It's not going to do as much damage typically as a kick or a roundhouse kick or something like that. But again, it can still stun him enough to where I can regroup and get away. Really, I wouldn't try like a full-on fist hit to the side of the knee or to the front, just because I'm a wimp and I know that's going to hurt. If you're all out of options, that could be a good thing to do, to utilize, but for the most part, I would just stick with kicks or elbows if you're in that particular situation. So that's all for today, guys. Again, thank you for tuning in. And next week, we're actually going to be concluding the series where we talk about Ed's feet and how to attack them so that we can get away to safety. As always, if you have questions, please leave them down below. I really love interacting with you guys and getting to know you better and what you'd like to see more from this series. So feel free to keep it up, and I will see you all next week. Bye guys!